Cadet Elara Vance, no relation to the Kronos psionicist, though she'd often joke about sharing a name with a galaxy-famous intellectual, was, by all accounts, perfectly average. She had passed the Terran Federation's entrance exams for the prestigious Xylos Galactic Academy with decent, if not stellar, marks. Her physique was lean, not overly muscular, her disposition generally cheerful, and her most notable skill seemed to be an uncanny ability to navigate the Academy's notoriously labyrinthine bureaucratic system. To the vast majority of her fellow students, Elara was just human. And humans, in the grand galactic scheme of things, were a bit of a curiosity. The Xylos Galactic Academy was an institution dedicated to fostering interspecies understanding and preparing the next generation of diplomats, scientists, and civic leaders for the concordance. Its student body was a dazzling array of life forms, the multi-limbed, perpetually calm Xylos, their minds a nexus of quiet contemplation, the sleek, bioluminescent lumina who communicated through complex light patterns, the stoic, six-limbed Cathar, whose warrior culture valued honor and discipline above all else, and the gentle, herbivorous Florians, who resembled walking, sentient trees. Most alien species regarded humanity with a mixture of bemusement and cautious respect. Humans were quick-witted, innovative, and surprisingly adaptable, but they were, also, squishy. They needed uncomfortable amounts of sleep, consumed an alarming variety of organic matter, and had a baffling tendency towards both extreme violence and profound, illogical acts of compassion. They were, in the consensus view, a relatively new, energetic, but ultimately unspecialized species, a bit like galactic puppies, boisterous, often endearing, but clearly not designed for the harsh realities of the cosmos. Elara's roommate was a Xylos named Xylar, a thoughtful, perpetually serene being who glided rather than walked. Xylar was a brilliant xenobotanist, fascinated by Earth's diverse flora. "Your planet, Elara, is truly an ecological marvel," Xylar projected, his thoughts a soft ripple in Elara's mind. "Such a vast array of biomes, such complex interdependencies, and your species, so adaptable to so many environments." "Yeah, Earth's pretty great," Elara replied, fiddling with a faulty food dispenser that refused to extrude her nutrient paste. "Lots of different places to live. Keeps you on your toes." Their first major class was xenobiology and comparative planetary ecosystems, taught by Professor Xylos Thraan, a venerable ancient Xylos with millennia of ecological study under his many limbs. The class was a foundational course, designed to instill respect for the incredible diversity of life across the galaxy. Today's lecture was on the delicate balance of predator-prey relationships across various biomes. Professor Thrawn projected a stunning holographic display of a majestic, four-winged predator hunting bioluminescent grazers on a gas giant's cloud forest. "Observe, class, the elegant efficiency of the Kylar Skystalker." Thrawn's voice resonated, calm and academic. "A perfect hunter, optimized for aerial pursuit, with highly specialized sensory organs and razor-sharp talons. Its prey, in turn, has evolved camouflage and evasive maneuvers, creating a stable, balanced ecosystem." Elara was taking notes, sketching the Sky Stalker in her data slate when Thrawn's gaze swept across the class, eventually settling on her. "And now, for a comparative study," Thrawn continued, "let us examine the apex predators of some of the more unique death worlds. Cadet Vance, as a representative of the Terran Federation, perhaps you can describe for us the most formidable apex predator from your homeworld, Earth?" The class turned to Elara, expectant. Xylar gave her a gentle, encouraging mental nudge. Elara blinked. "Apex predator of Earth?" She thought for a moment, then shrugged. "Oh, that's easy, Professor," Elara said cheerfully, a faint smile on her face. "That would be us, sir. Humans." A sudden, profound silence descended upon the classroom. The holographic skystalker froze mid-flight. Xylar's gentle mental nudge instantly retracted. The lumina flickered with what looked like alarm signals. The Cathar shifted, their 6 limbs suddenly unnervingly still. Professor Thraon's many eyes, which had been placid, now seemed to narrow fractionally. Elara, completely oblivious, took another bite of her nutrient paste. Yeah, definitely humans. We're pretty much at the top of the food chain on Earth. Professor Thrawn cleared a non-existent throat. Cadet Vance, I believe there may be a misunderstanding. While your species is certainly resourceful, the concept of a sentient, tool-using species being its own planet's apex predator is highly unusual. Often, it indicates an ecosystem in severe disbalance or a species that has not yet learned to integrate with its environment. Elara frowned. No, sir, I'm pretty sure. We ate pretty much everything, and everything else either learned to run, hide, or became a pet. We even ate other apex predators sometimes just because we could. She paused, thinking. Like, we used to hunt things way bigger and stronger than us with sharpened sticks, or just by running them down until they collapsed from exhaustion. We've been doing it for millions of years. It's kind of our thing. The silence in the classroom was now thicker, heavier. The other species exchanged uneasy glances. The Florians wilted slightly. Cadet Vance, Professor Thrawn said, a new, cautious tone in his voice. Could you elaborate on this? Running them down until they collapsed from exhaustion? Oh, yeah, Elara brightened. It's called persistence hunting. We just follow an animal, sometimes for days without stopping, until it literally drops dead from heat stroke and exhaustion. Most animals are faster, but humans are better at long-distance running in the heat. Plus, we sweat really efficiently, so we don't overheat as fast. Xylar, Elara's Xylos roommate, projected a thought into her mind that was no longer gentle, but edged with a faint tremor. Elara, the Xylos, for example, are a sprint species. We can achieve incredible bursts of speed, but sustained exertion rapidly depletes our bioreserves. The idea of pursuing prey to exhaustion is quite foreign. Yeah, most things are like that, Elara said, nodding. But not us. We just keep going. It's why we're so good at endurance sports, too. Marathons, ultramarathons, our bodies are built for it. A Cathar student, usually stoic, rumbled, You speak of hunting creatures way bigger and stronger than yourselves. Are your physical capabilities not limited compared to, say, a Keelar battle beast or a Lumina sky hunter? Elara shrugged again. Well, individually, sure. A battle beast would probably stomp me flat. But we don't hunt alone. We use tools, traps, and cooperation. And we're pretty good at throwing things with extreme accuracy. A rock to the head from 100 meters away can really ruin a big animal's day. She added as an afterthought. Plus, we're really creative about finding weaknesses. Like if a big beast has tough hide, we'd figure out which joints are softer or which parts are more vulnerable, and then invent a tool specifically to exploit that. Professor Thrawn, his placid demeanor now completely gone, pulled up, a holographic model of the human skeletal and muscular system. Cadet Vance, your physical structure appears unspecialized. No natural armor, no formidable claws or fangs, no enhanced musculature for raw strength. Yet you claim dominance. That's the thing, Professor, Elara said, finally getting animated. Our lack of specialization is our specialization. We can eat anything, live anywhere, and adapt to anything. We have hands that can make anything from a spear to a starship. Our brains are massive and totally obsessed with figuring out how to kill things more efficiently or make things work better. And we can communicate really complex ideas, so we can organize hunts, coordinate attacks, and teach the next generation exactly how to be even better predators. The Lumina students were now flickering rapidly, their light patterns signifying a state of high distress. The Florians had curled their leaves inward. The Xylos looked deeply contemplative, with an undercurrent of unease. The next class, comparative gastronomy and resource management, became another accidental stage for Elara's revelations. The course, taught by a jovial, multi-tentacled Oon named Chef Gorlock, focused on efficient and sustainable nutrient acquisition across various species. Chef Gorlock was discussing the specialized digestive systems of various species, showing how a Xylar could efficiently convert inert gases into usable protein, or how a Florians could photosynthesize and only rarely needed supplementary minerals. And now for a species known for its eclectic dietary habits, Gerlach boomed, his tentacles gesturing towards Elara. The Terran human. Cadet Vance, could you describe for us your species' primary method of nutrient acquisition? Elara, who had been enthusiastically helping herself, to a tray of multicolored gelatinous protein cubes, a Universal Academy staple, paused. Oh, well, mostly we just eat anything, Chef. We're omnivores, plants, animals, fungi. If it's got nutrients, we've probably tried to eat it. Chef Gerlach chuckled, a sound like bubbling goo. Indeed, an interesting if somewhat inefficient strategy. But surely your species has a primary most efficient food source, like the lumina with their bioalgae, or the cathar with their mineral-rich tubers. Elara thought about it. Well, historically, meat. Lots of meat. We kind of figured out how to cook it, which made it easier to digest, and that helped our brains grow bigger. A beat of silence. Then, a cathar student, his usually placid face showing a flicker of something like horror, rumbled, "Meat? You mean the flesh of other sentient or even non-sentient animal species? You consume what you hunt?" Yeah, Elara said, confused by the reaction. That's how hunting works. You eat what you kill, or at least we used to. Now we mostly farm it. Still eat a lot of it, though. We've got whole industries dedicated to making sure we always have enough meat. Chef Gerlach, whose normally jovial demeanor had deflated considerably, looked like he might actually dissolve. But that is the act of a predator, Cadet Vance. A species that derives its sustenance from the consumption of other advanced life forms. The Concordance has not encountered a sentient species that hunts and eats its own planet's diverse fauna with such enthusiasm. Elara shrugged again. I mean, yeah, like I said, apex predators. We've got the teeth for it. We've got the stomach for it. We've even got cultural dishes dedicated to it, like steak or barbecue, really good stuff. She then, completely innocently, elaborated on the historical uses of all parts of the hunted animal, hides for clothing, bones for tools, even organs for specific culinary delights. The class stared, utterly transfixed and profoundly disturbed. The concept of using a creature's bones for tools after consuming its flesh was a level of biological and practical ruthlessness that none of them had ever conceived of. Xylar projected, a mental image of a gentle Florian's grazing, then recoiled from the thought of it being consumed. Elara, are there any large, non-human land animals on Earth that are not currently farmed or endangered by human activity? Elara paused, trying to think of one. Well, there are some in protected reserves, like elephants or rhinos. But even they used to get hunted, and if they weren't, we'd find a way to eat them anyway. The Florians student fainted. The revelations continued to spill out in comparative sociology and interspecies governance. The instructor, a highly structured Lumina diplomat named Ambassador Kalara, was discussing the peaceful, hierarchical social structures of various concordance members. The Xylos, for instance, operate on a principle of fluid, consensus-based governance with minimal individualistic aggression. Kalara's light patterns rippled serenely. The Cathar maintain a strict warrior code of honor which prevents internal strife. Each species has evolved a social order that minimizes conflict and maximizes cooperation. And now, Kalara's patterns shifted slightly, a hint of trepidation. Cadet Vance, perhaps you can describe the social structures of your homeworld, Earth, and how your species manages internal aggression and conflict. Elara took a deep breath. Okay, so we have a lot of different kinds of governments, democracies, republics, monarchies, socialist states, sometimes dictatorships. It's a whole spectrum. And for internal aggression, well, we try to use laws, diplomacy, and debates. But sometimes we fight. Fight? Kalara's patterns pulsed with alarm. You mean internal violent conflict between members of your own species? Within your own established societies? Oh yeah, definitely, Elara said. We've had a lot of wars, big ones, small ones, sometimes just over territory, sometimes over resources, sometimes over ideas, sometimes over who has the biggest stick. Our history is pretty much just one long string of us figuring out new ways to fight each other, then new ways to stop fighting, then new ways to start fighting again. The Lumina ambassador's light patterns were flickering furiously now. But this is self-destructive. A species that is its own planet's apex predator and engages in systematic, organized violence against itself? This is an ecological and societal paradox. Elara frowned. Is it? I mean, we're pack hunters. Packs sometimes fight for dominance. It's part of the deal. The strongest, or smartest, or most cunning pack leader usually takes charge. We just do it on a global scale. We're still figuring out how to stop, but it's been a long journey. She thought about human history for a moment. I guess it's like once you're at the top of the food chain, the only thing left to compete with is other versions of yourself. And we're really, really good at competing. A Cathar student, whose species held the most formidable warrior reputation in the Concordance, leaned forward, a strange, new respect in his eyes. You speak of dominance and competing within your own species, Cadet Vance. Do these internal conflicts lead to innovation in methods of engagement? Oh, absolutely, Elara said, nodding vigorously. Massive innovation. We've gone from rocks and sticks to nuclear weapons and cyber warfare. Every war, we invent new technologies, new strategies, new ways to defend ourselves, and new ways to attack. It's a constant arms race, even against ourselves. Drives a lot of technological advancement, actually. The classroom was eerily quiet. The aliens were no longer simply observing Elara, they were studying her, a new, profound, and deeply unsettling understanding dawning in their perfectly logical minds. The pleasant, unassuming human cadet was slowly, accidentally, revealing that her species was not just a curious anomaly, but a terrifying, self-evolving, adaptable engine of organized violence and unpredictable innovation. The incident in Ambassador Kalara's class was the final straw. Word of Elara's innocent revelations spread like wildfire through the academy. Suddenly, the other students didn't see Elara as a quirky human. They saw her as a walking, talking embodiment of a planet's ultimate predator. Professor Thra'an called Elara and Xylar into his office. He had foregone the usual pleasantries. Cadet Vance? Thrawn projected, his voice now devoid of academic calm. Your species has been classified by the Concordance as a Type 4.7 developing civilization. Resourceful, but relatively benign. Your recent revelations suggest a severe misclassification. Your species exhibits characteristics of a Type 7.3, an emergent apex species with advanced predatory adaptations, both physical and psychological. This is concerning. Elara looked confused. But we're not going to eat anyone. Professor, we've got nutrient paste now, and laws against internal warfare mostly, Xylar gently interjected. Elara, The concept of a species that views itself as the ultimate hunter, capable of systematically eliminating or subjugating all other life forms on its homeworld, and then turning that drive inward upon itself with such creativity, is utterly without precedent in the concordance. It implies a fundamental ruthlessness that is, frankly, terrifying. Thrawn nodded. Indeed. We observed your capacity for empathy, for abstract thought, for diplomacy. But now we see the underlying foundation. A biological imperative for dominance, for survival at any cost, coupled with an unmatched adaptability to any environment, any prey, any threat. He pulled up a holographic projection of Earth's evolutionary history. Your species not only survived your homeworld's most dangerous fauna, you eliminated much of it. You then replicated those same predatory instincts through technology and organization, making you, collectively, the ultimate biological weapon. Your intelligence is not separate from your predatory nature, cadet. It is an extension of it. Elara was starting to understand the magnitude of what she had accidentally revealed. The aliens weren't horrified because humans were evil. They were horrified because humans were natural, a primal, unstoppable force of nature that had simply won the evolutionary lottery on a planet designed to kill everything. Later, in their dorm, Xylos was carefully organizing his biosamples, his mental projections unusually muted. Elara, Xylos projected, I have been reviewing the archived files of Earth's various sporting events. These mixed martial arts and ultimate fighting competitions, they appear to be stylized combat between individuals of your own species, often resulting in significant physical trauma. This is for entertainment? Elara cringed. Yeah. We like to test ourselves, see who's tougher. It's a good way to blow off steam. Better than, actual war. Xylos paused, then projected a thought that was tinged with genuine, profound fear. Elara, if this is how your species blows off steam, what happens when it becomes truly serious? The incident changed everything. Other human cadets at the academy found themselves being eyed with new, uneasy respect. Their cheerful demeanor now seemed like the calm before a storm. Their quick smiles, a baring of teeth. Their love of diverse food, a reminder of their omnivorous origins. The Concordance military, which had always viewed human troops as somewhat unpredictable but effective, now had to completely reevaluate their strategic doctrine. The Cathar, once proud of their warrior culture, now looked at humans with a dawning realization that their own honorable combat was merely a structured game, while human warfare was a brutal, no-holds-barred application of raw predatory instinct and cunning. The Keelar hegemony, who had been studying human compliance forms, abruptly halted their assimilation protocol for the Terran Federation. Their perfectly logical algorithms, processing the newly revealed data on human predatory evolution, kept generating warnings of unquantifiable risk, unpredictable aggression trajectories, and high probability of unprovoked predation. The Kylar, for all their order, understood that you simply did not try to assimilate an apex predator that enjoyed eating other apex predators. In the final class of the semester, Professor Thrawn, his voice now tinged with a newfound reverence, presented the class with a new holographic model. It was of a human, not a warrior, not a scientist, but an average human, standing on a verdant field of Earth. But now, overlaid on the hologram, were projections of our incredible endurance, our omnivorous digestive system, our versatile hands, our massive problem-solving brain, and the chilling collective history of our dominance over an entire planet. Class, Thrawn projected, his voice echoing in the now silent classroom. Today we conclude our study of comparative ecosystems. We began this course by examining the delicate balance of predator and prey. We end it with the most profound and perhaps most terrifying example of that balance, the Terran human. He gestured to the hologram. This species, seemingly unspecialized, possesses a unique combination of physiological adaptations and cognitive development that has allowed it to become the undisputed apex predator of its homeworld. Its capacity for tool use, strategic thinking, and complex social cooperation, combined with an unparalleled physical resilience and dietary adaptability, makes it a force unlike any other in the known galaxy. Elara, sitting next to Xylos, watched the reactions. The Lumina were shimmering with awe. The Florians, still a little nervous, were nonetheless beginning to bloom slightly. The Cathar students were nodding slowly, a deep, primal understanding in their ancient eyes. Xylos, her roommate, finally turned to her, a soft, complex thought projected directly into her mind. Elara, your species, it is a beautiful and terrifying thing. I am both in awe and profoundly grateful that you have chosen to be diplomatic. Elara Vance, the unassuming human cadet, finished her first year at the Xylos Galactic Academy. She hadn't topped any classes in theoretical physics or advanced xenolinguistics, but she had, quite accidentally, fundamentally reshaped the Concordance's understanding of humanity. Her presence at the Academy and the Apex Predator incident became a legendary tale. Humans were no longer seen as galactic puppies. They were seen as something far more complex, far more dangerous, and infinitely more fascinating. They were the apex predators who had somehow, against all odds, decided to build starships and join a galactic community instead of simply consuming it. Admiral Valerius, who had initially been skeptical of human inefficiency, now kept a detailed file on human predatory behaviors. He found himself looking at human soldiers, not just as troops, but as a force of nature. The Concordance, having learned a profound lesson, began to reshape its understanding of its newest member. They no longer dismissed humanity's quirks as flaws. They saw them as facets of a deep primal strength. Our resilience, our adaptability, our ingenuity, our fierce loyalty, even our capacity for seemingly irrational violence, all were understood in a new, more terrifying context. Elara, for her part, simply went on with her studies, still cheerful, still enjoying her diverse foods, and occasionally still humming an old Earth tune about hunting. She often found herself being asked strange questions by her alien classmates, questions about Earth's history, about human psychology, about the true meaning of a meat pie. She learned that the galaxy didn't fear humanity's power. It feared humanity's nature. It feared the polite, friendly, adaptable creature who, with a simple, innocent smile, could casually remind you that it had always been, and would always be the undisputed top of the food chain. And in a galaxy that once believed in gentle, specialized evolution, humanity, the apex predator in the classroom, taught them a new, humbling lesson. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the universe is simply a really, really good hunter.